cannot wait for the Seattle tournament to watch these teams go at it.
Bringing back Enable is starting five.
It's too quick. It's too clean from the Royal Ravens.
New York Subliners, what a comeback!
This is an all-or-nothing change for the LA Guerrillas.
Paris Legion starting to mount momentum.
Huntsmen, we're hoping to catch a glimpse of the raw slaying power this roster truly has to show.
It's a Røkkr victory!
For the first time, OpTic Gaming are going to the finals.
Hello and welcome to the CDL Seattle Home Series. It is day 2. We've got 6 epic matches for you today. I am Maven and I will guide you through the pre-show as we get ready for the action alongside Røkkr and Nameless. We have no time for introductions. It is right into the action. The big story heading into this event, Pristini and Gunless to the bench. I want to talk about how you guys feel after their first series against Legion. Merc, take it away, pal.
I mean, it was their first match. They get a W, but it was a bit sloppy. Honestly, the hard points were a little bit scary. Their search did look great, but you're looking for them to improve. I know it was just their first match as a team.
Nameless, for you.
You know, your first match as a team, it's always going to be a little troubling, right? It's going to be hard. It's going to be bumpy, but they get the win, and that's what matters. It wasn't overly impressive. You expect the Huntsmen with that roster to dominate the Legion, but keep in mind, even with Gunless early in the season, the Legion always gave them trouble. So I'll be looking at them today to see how good the team actually is.
Yeah, I found myself sort of being indifferent. Joe and I kind of talked about it later in the broadcast yesterday that I almost found myself not knowing how to feel. Like I wasn't super impressed. I wasn't, disappointed by any means. I think we all just know it's going to take a little time, right? Things are going to have to click, and it's going to take a little bit to work Pristini into this system. But I guess I don't think any of us view yesterday as a huge test. I think that's going to be today. Match 1 versus Røkkr is where we're really going to see if things are starting to click, and if not, they could really, really be punished. But we're taking a look at some of the gameplay from them yesterday, and that's going to take us right into our Astro Social sound card. There was a tweet from Pristini and a tweet from Semp I want to take a look at. The one for Pristini, kind of talking about himself getting into the blender a little bit in that map 4. Joe, he struggled a bit there in that second hard point.
Yeah, what's he talking about? I just couldn't stop sprinting, and maybe that's excitement to get right back into the matches, to be on this team. He's talked about just how happy he is to be on this team, but the fact is you got to perform when you're on this team. So yeah, you need him just to, I wouldn't say slow it down, but you have to know when it's time to, L-trigger a little bit more. And, he's the person that's, really putting the pace out for this team, putting the pressure out. So we'll see how he performs today.
We'll take a look at another tweet for our Astro Social sound card, and that's going to be from Semp. Fun watching you fly around the map again. Keep it up tomorrow, my bro. Nameless, I think for us, for fans, for players, it's just good to see him back in a lineup, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I respect him for what he did, taking some time out for his mental health. And, it's amazing to see. I mean, he's a world champion from last year. And, the grind maybe got to him a little bit. He goes out for a bit, comes back, and it's just great to see him back with his brother. You talked a little bit about it. One of the best moments of the year was like him and his brother Alec on the stage.
Absolutely.
It was just so emotional. And, it's just great to see him back.
And that leads us right into our next bit here. He actually had a chance to sit down with LVP, our very own Lottie. They did an interview just a couple days ago. We showed some snippets from it yesterday. This is a segment actually talking about getting to play with his brother. Let's take a look.
So I feel like me and him on the same team is like a plus to any team that has us, because we like to actually improve and talk after maps and like see what we did wrong. So me and Alec bring another aspect to the game other than just chemistry and gameplay. So I feel like me and Alec being on the same team is a positive for the other 3 as well.
As you highlighted, Nameless, one of the more spectacular emotional moments this year was when they matched up. But now they're back together, and we're going to see if they can create some more magical and emotional moments for Huntsman. You got to think that's the plan with bringing him on the team. We'll take a look at the stats. The thing that stood out positively, obviously the S&D, the respawns need a little bit of work, but Ant sort of said he doesn't need to, or maybe it was you, Joe, he doesn't need to slow down necessarily. He needs to L-trigger more. Like, how does he find that rhythm? Is it just repetitions?
I think it's repetitions, yeah, and it's just like sometimes you find yourself in the blender. What do we mean by that? It's you spawn up, you sprint, you die. You spawn up, you sprint, you die.
The blender.
Yeah, dude. Sometimes it's just sort of spawn up, realize you have some of the best talent in the world on your team. You don't always have to be the first guy in, and it'll just take some time, I think, just to get back to that match flow.
Well, let's take a look now at the U.S. Army schedule and bracket. We've got a ton of matches to come to you today. The first 4 are going to be, we basically have them on the schedule. Then we need to find out what our final 2 knockout matches are going to be to close the night. But we have some incredible matches today. Nameless, is there anything that really stands out for you in the group of matches so far?
Yeah, New York versus the London Royal Ravens. I feel like people haven't talked about it a lot, but Zero on the Revenge Tour. I mean, how often do we get to see a crazy revenge match like that? We know that when he got benched, he felt like he was done wrong. He wasn't underperforming as an individual, and he got put on the bench, and he's definitely going to want to get that W, so some bad blood there for sure.
Joe, I feel like we've seen that so many times in the history of COD, like that revenge tour. And why does it always feel like the person with that vengeance, with that chip on the shoulder, ends up making them pay?
It's a little bit of extra motivation, right? And then you get your teammates fired up, and you just bring the heat, man. It really is. It's the intensity to another level.
We'll see if Zero and the Royal Ravens can get it done against the Subliners. That is going to be an incredible matchup. The other one, Huntsmen Røkkr, that's our first match. That should be sensational as well. Now let's transition to that. I want to get right into our game fuel keys to victory for our first matchup of the day. It's Røkkr, it's Huntsmen. Let's take a look at the game fuel keys to victory for Huntsmen as we roll into this. And I know you have a saying kind of with the flow of this and what you think are going to be the keys. What stood out for you here?
Tighten up the hard point. Yesterday, you saw that, it was a bit off. It was getting done at the very end of the games. With Pristini on the team, there's that added pressure on Envoy and Scump to perform, to consistently slay. If Pristini's going to be playing at that speed, I'm looking at those guys to go off. I'll be looking at them today.
Well, now let's look at the other side of this for our game fuel keys to victory, and that's going to be for Røkkr. Røkkr coming off a disappointing last event, looking to rebound here. I think GodRx specifically struggled a little bit. He looked human for the first time this year. What are your keys there, Nameless?
Well, yesterday in the hard points, Dens and Luca had amazing performances versus the Huntsmen. It was giving them a lot of trouble. So I'm going to be looking at Assault and GodRx, the main AR and the flex on the team to go off. And GodRx had a good series yesterday. Assault had a crazy hard point yesterday. So I'll be focusing on those 2 guys to give them trouble.
Well, Merc, I'm curious for you. Is this one that you see going the distance?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you have a very solid Minnesota team, but the Chicago talent should get them there, right? Like, they should be able to steal a respawn or 2, get it to that Game 5, and, well, Game 5 is going to be our cloth peak if we get there, so it should be a great series overall.
Yeah, as you touched on, that's going to be our U.S. Air Force maps and modes. You can take a look through that best of 5, but Nameless, thank you for joining us for the pre-show, pal. I hope you have a wondrous day, as we'll see a little bit more later on the show.
Thank you.
All right, see you, bud. All right, Joe, it is time, I believe, to get first best of 5. Huntsmen, Røkkr. I see this going one of 2 ways, personally. I see this going the distance, like you said, like a deep game 4, deep game 5. I guess, to me, I feel like right now if it's going to be lopsided, it's in favor of Røkkr. Just because Røkkr are a more well-oiled machine right now. Huntsmen are trying to work through the kinks. I could be way off base. I mean, if Huntsmen start to click, they got the talent. I mean, they should be the better team in the long run. I just don't know if they are yet.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look back at these 2 matching up, Chicago have owned this. They have owned this. They have owned this matchup. They're 2-0. So you have a 3-0. You have a 3-1 over the Minnesota Røkkr. But what do we know Minnesota Røkkr does is they learn every single time. And when you look at this map number 1, this is a doozy. Minnesota on this map 7-3 overall. Chicago 6-1 overall. So you're going to see some of the best Azure hardpoint cave teams going at it.
All right. Well, it is time to kick it off.
Make sure you bracket,
into this first map. Yep, sir. Yes, sir. If people wonder, we always say that before matches. It's just reminding ourselves to hit a button so the observers can hear our calls. That's all that is. But all right, into Azure Cave. Røkkr into the hard point first. As we'll see if Huntsmen. I mean, this is where we saw them map 1 yesterday. I know they clutched up, but a little bit sloppy earlier in the game. We'll see if they can fix some of those early game mistakes.
Yeah, I think that first rotation, Paris really took advantage of them. But yeah, they have the ability to clutch up, and they were able to do that. It was that cave west into the cliff path where they were able to close it out. They're starting to get some early time as 4 go down for the Røkkr. Assault knows what's coming. He's going to find a kill on Envoy. That's a nice shot with that M4, and they're just going to focus on rotation of KVs. But a great amount of starting time here for the Chicago Huntsmen.
Yeah, it's beautiful from them early, but will they be able to get an early break into this next point? Is Alex in that MP5 light it up? A triple for Alex to stagger the spawns and the rotation even more for Huntsmen. This should give them some comfort at Cave Side East, but they've already got a big deficit to overcome here.
Yeah, and I think Nameless really touched on GodRx and Assault. For me yesterday in that OpTic Gaming match, like GodRx, he had like a 0.9. It wasn't anything like we, crazy like we've seen from him. The two players that really stepped up were Alex and Asim yesterday, both over a 1 in those sub roles. So we'll see what sort of impact they can make in this match. But Chicago, they're able to get in. They're able to break that setup, and teams are getting much better at doing this, aren't they, Maven?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This felt like, okay, it's not Tire Shop on Hackney, but it felt like the team that got the earlier rotation 9 times out of 10 was getting 40+ seconds. Yep. Teams have gotten way better, whether it's behind smokes, the pinch, absolutely got better. That's what we've seen basically at every Call of Duty title over the years when it comes to hardpoint, like figuring out more efficient ways to break some of the money hills. But as Huntsmen get in, what a swing it is. Now lead up to 60 points. We'll head out to field. Layered across mid-map will be Røkkr. It's Huntsmen trying to pinch from both sides, going all the way around. I believe was Pristini, but he's going to get caught. You still have Envoy there to try and get something done.
Yeah, great start for Pristini. 10 and 5 double positive. It's what you wanted to see in the hard points. On the other side of Minnesota, just a slow start really across the board. But they do have this rotation at soccer field. Asim trying to get some shots into that player. That was Envoy. He's going to take him down as Envoy and Pristini keep trying to continue to pinch on through, but not able to do so. A solid hold here for Minnesota.
A good hold to get them right back into things. We'll hop out to the sky view to see how things break down, and all you saw there was, I believe, beams from GodRx as he was able to take out Pristini and Envoy. Formal, though, looking to answer back. He'll chain together two, trying to look spiral for anyone else looking to engage. But as it's all said and done, inside a field, the lead building back up towards 40. Now over to Cave Side West as we pop up the picture-in-picture for you guys to enjoy an added angle. It's trophy out for Røkkr. His Envoy now goes in for the break. Silly's going to get dropped. 3 are going to line up in front of him. That's an easy triple for Envoy. Envoy's one just slides across right into his crosshairs, and he keeps on eating. A fourth will drop in the back. Huntsmen get in, and so far, inside a cave, it has been all Huntsmen.
How impressive has he been these last few months? When you have looked for an answer for the Huntsmen, Envoy has continued to step up. 15 and 7 with that MP5, and it feels like every time we get to this hill, he is making the right plays. And as Scump, well, he knows 15 seconds left. He's going to focus on this rotation. But job well done. Once again, you have an early setup for Minnesota at these cave hills. An opportunity for them to get back into the game, and it's an individual play that breaks it. They just cannot allow that to happen.
Basically doubling up their opponents, are darn near close to it right now, are Huntsmen. They've got Cliffside. It feels like Røkkr need a big break here. This lead might start to get out of control. It was Alex's POV for a second. Now over to the other SMG and Asim. Right over to Pristini we go, and Pristini's got 3 in front of him. Runs out of ammo before he can drop the third. Now it's a Cliffside push. Everybody soaring in. GodRx has gotten into the point. You saw the line of Røkkr players just soaring on into position, trying to lock down this hard point. They've gotten a foothold in. Asim is pushed through to drop 2 as well. And that's huge. I think if they didn't get into this point, this game might have been done.
This is an opportunity as well. You see the Propel starting to rotate on over. They can trap the Huntsmen back here, right? They can get set up when we go back to that first hill. We've seen it from teams like Atlanta FaZe on this map where you would just continuously trap them. You do see, I think that's Envoy making the heads up play. He's trying to go all the way around. He recognizes the situation. And yeah, why wouldn't he? I mean, Envoy always realizes what he has to do, but he knows that they could potentially get trapped. He's able to find a big kill onto Assault. Now he's going to go back to his team. I like that play, and that gets them out.
Well, here we go. Into the second set of rotations. Kind of battling from yellow towards broken. He's looking at any kind of control. Speaking of yellow, we get right over to Formal's POV, and he is greeted by the M4 of GodRx. It's all M4s across the board in the kill feed for Røkkr. It's a contest right now on the point. Scump spots the smoke and now looks for some kind of angle, and he's going to find it. GodRx will fall. The right side of the map still locked down by Huntsmen as they're in a good position for next. They've had to rely on breaks into cave. This time, they might just be able to rely on that early control. All pressure to Røkkr to find an opening in the next 10 to 20 seconds.
Yeah, you have 3 players already set up inside a cave. Envoy, he's going to watch that far pinch. He should have a player. That's GodRx who's working on through. Scump locking this down with Formal, his duo. That's going to be 4 dead at the exact right time. That's exactly when you want 4 down to go, because they do not have a lot of map control, does the Minnesota Røkkr. And you can see RC is just hanging out. Finally, some pressure going to be coming through that middle of the cave, but the pushes are pretty staggered right now from Minnesota.
Yeah, they're incredibly staggered, spawning all the way out so deep on the map because of what Pristini's position was. Also, you had Envoy pushed out deep into cave. 30 seconds off this hard point. This is the first real push. Now can Huntsmen hold yet again? They've been cleared out of the hard point for now. Assault trying to get shots in on the crossfire, but it's Formal. That'll drop 2. 4 now down for Huntsmen. They're still spawning deep. This will allow a rotation for Røkkr, and they disrupt what? About the final 30 or so seconds. I mean, it feels like every time I think Røkkr are going to get blown out of it and the game's going to be ice, they're able to do just enough to stay in the conversation.
Yeah, they just haven't been able to catch us to this lead, though. I mean, they have kept this lead, the Huntsmen, the entire time. As you take a look at the scoreboard, Envoy, he continues this big game. Formal has just been, last few times we've watched him, especially on this map, not doing anything crazy, but he's doing his job. He is, you know, it's tough, I think, at times as a main AR, than typically what he wants to do. You know that Formal wants to fly around in an incredible place, but he's got to be that guy that's recognizing, reading the minimap, where do I have to be on the map, and that's big for him. It's important for him to know his role.
Absolutely, and Pristini stepped it up. He took himself out of the blender and he tossed Scump right into it.
Yeah,
Pristini's having a great map. Scump not so much, but you still have the lead, and that's all that matters. But with 20 seconds left on this hard point, it could basically be a tie game if Røkkr can lock down the remaining time. But right as I call that, Huntsmen do get into the point. The one-on-one once again won by Envoy. You talked about how good he is at cave side west. He makes yet another play and sets them up for success. There's another one-on-one win.
Yeah, the problem is his team went for the scrap time. They went for so much time. He's trying to lock this down by himself, but you look at the rest of the green arrows, they're so far away from this. Minnesota did a great job getting about 30 seconds. They're only down 30 now, and you have this setup. That should have been a earlier rotation, I think, from the Chicago Huntsmen.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he did enough when he got 3 kills, but there were still 4 more players there he had to deal with by the time it was all said and done. And now the early control, a whole lot better this time around from Røkkr. Is everybody dropping from Huntsmen? Scump's going to have to back it up for now. Look for another entry point. Might have our first lead change in quite some time. And it looks like Røkkr now going to go out in front. 192-192. Lead change to Røkkr. GodRx leading the way.
Well, I mean, this is what we saw yesterday. Chicago was able to do. It wasn't, you know, those 2 hills, but this time for Minnesota, it was soccer field into that cave west, and now they have a lead. They also have 4 kills in a row. The pressure is here. So Chicago, they're going to be spawning towards the front. You have a bit of a pinch coming through as well. That's going to be a Seam who's going to try to go through cliff path. These are such important kills because they're going to spawn the Huntsman out. Alex just staying alive, trying to buy time for a Seam. A Seam's able to find 1. The Huntsmen, they're able to find 3 kills. It's the battle. The smokes are down. It is chaos on this hill.
Yeah, Huntsmen did enough to. I thought they were in trouble too with a Seam on that pinch. If they don't get those 3 kills, and now, well, 5 in the kill feed, they're likely spawning out very, very deep towards mid-map, but they're able to stand tall. The 3 players that were left up go huge, and now it's a Huntsman lead. It's 5 in a row for Pristini, up to 27 and 24 as Pristini showing he belongs on this Huntsman roster. They can't close it out on this hard point, but they can get damn close. This next rotation of mid-map going to be a big one, and you already have Pristini set up mid on the opposite side.
Yeah, it's huge for the Huntsmen because this is an opportunity for Minnesota to maybe lock them in like I talked about on the last rotation. First time it was Envoy, this time it's Pristini, and he gets 1 kill, and look at the spawns. You only need 8 more seconds. The Huntsmen can win it here.
Yep, they're not worried about Cave Side East. Let's just close it out now. Close it out here. You've got 45 seconds to earn 7 points. They can do it now, but Røkkr have to be scrappier than ever. And there's the scrappiness. 5 are going to drop. 2 for GodRx, 2 for Silly. They clear out Huntsmen. If they can somehow hold on for these next 30 seconds, they've got spawns for next, but it all comes down to this. It's going to be a flurry. Inside the point is Huntsmen scrambling to try and close it out. Yeah, I guess technically they can. No longer going to be the case, though, is Huntsman able to contest just long enough. But can Huntsman get these 5 points? Røkkr won't go down.
I thought they had it as Scum got through yellow, but Silly's going big towards middle of the cave. He's able to find 2 kills. The contest is still there. Formal's Nade's able to connect. Pristini with a one-on-one. Pristini wins another one. 2 big kills in the hill, and they're going to close it out. Besides that Pristini play, as he goes big, gets a little bit scary there for the Huntsmen, but they close it out.
Yeah, I think he ends up with a triple to ice the game. He had the killing spree right before that, the big rotation 2 mid-map, and when things seem to be falling apart, it's Pristini. That goes huge, and the map 1 victory goes to Huntsmen. Pristini ends up going 33 and 27. He has 33, Envoy 33, Formal 33. The 3-headed beast there at the top of it lead the way, and they get the W. But man, I thought Røkkr were about to pull that off, because if you're going to rotate to the other side and fight from that side of Town Center East, like, or Town Center, you better win it there. You better win it there, or you're losing the game. And didn't they have a situation like that yesterday where I got nervous, where I was like, if they don't close it out here, it was Hackney, right? It was Hackney, yeah.
They had to close it out, and they did. But yeah, it gets a little bit scary. Røkkr, it felt like that second half of rotation, they really started to come alive. When you talk about soccer field, that big rotation over to Cave Side West. If the Cliff Path Hill goes a little bit better with that pinch on a seam, they probably win that game.
They can't quite do it. 250 to 233 is the final score line. We're going to watch the final moments of that, as that was one of the better endings you'll see in a hard point all year long. But it was Pristini that was the hero, making the plays around the hard point, gets the final ticks, and he's got to feel good about that, considering the last hard point he played, he was pretty frustrated with his performance. There turns it around, and not only does he have the stats, but he has the clutch moment as well.
Yeah, and we looked at his tweet. He just felt like he was sprinting around a little bit too much. He couldn't get in a groove. That game, he was absolutely in a groove, but he had a lot of help as well. We talked about it. 3 guys with 33 kills. Arcees as well, 25 and 25. Scump, not the best map 1, but hey, when your team has your back, when you have the talent around you, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, it doesn't. I think what I love to see too is Pristini. If you look at overall damage, he was number 1 of all 10 players. So yes, he had a good map, but he was putting out the damage. He was there in the clutch moments. Just a big map for him. And then his brother Arcees led the way in time. I think 1:40 to go for him in the hard point. What a map 1 it was. I think that hopefully is a example of what we're going to see over the course of this best of 5. Just a crazy map 1.
Yeah, and we talked about their search and destroy yesterday. They looked darn good, but we know how solid of a team Minnesota Røkkr are from just top to bottom. That's why we think this is going to go the distance.
Well, let's take a look at our U.S. Air Force quick scope to compare these 2 squads as we get further into this series. Huntsmen had the win on the year. Røkkr still hunting for that elusive win, but they've been rock solid, right? They basically made it to every semifinal outside of the last event, where GodRx finally didn't drop a 1.2 overall, finally looked human, and he was very frustrated. But you can see their matches, like 12 and 8 versus 13 and 4. I mean, in the wins department, pretty similar. Just obviously more losses there for Røkkr, but the overall KD, same ballpark as well. Like, Røkkr has been rock solid, but they're still chasing that win.
You just see the game records though as well. Like Minnesota, they play deep in the series. I mean, they have a few more matches than the Huntsmen, but yeah, they almost have around 15, 16 more maps played. So they go crazy. Yeah.
Well, we'll take a look at the roster cards now. The new look Huntsman on your screen, and then we'll check out Røkkr. But yes, the storyline, we're going to keep talking about it a lot. I know it's the Seattle home series event, so we're going to be highlighting Seattle as well and see what they can do. But for Huntsman, just everyone's curious to see how this new look roster is going to be. But for Røkkr, which squad are we going to get? I guess, are we going to get the rock solid, extra prepared, great coaching, just fundamentally sound team? Or are we going to see one that falls short like we saw just a couple weeks ago. What do you expect, Joe?
I mean, I expect them to bounce back, right? They've had one bad home series, and that's going to happen. You get put into a tough group, you're not always going to win it. But besides that, we talked about it. They've been in every single top 4. A lot of people still have them, even myself, as a top 4 team in the world right now. So, yeah, I expect them to bounce back.
Yeah, and I think if you're Røkkr, like, you really, really, really want to close this out because that series against OpTic yesterday, I mean, that obviously could have gone either way. That goes to a game 5. The search and destroys were absolutely crazy. I don't think you want that rematch. Like, you just want to get to the semifinal now. But I do want to touch on the stats versus Huntsmen for Røkkr. You kind of touched on the fact that Huntsmen have kind of owned this matchup as they've played 2 series. What stands out for you, really?
Well, I mean, they're 0-2, right? It's not like they go game 5s. Their matches with the Huntsmen have been a 3-0 to Huntsmen. They've been a 3-1 to Huntsmen. They have controlled this series, so it just feels like maybe it's a matchup thing. We talk about that often, but Chicago, they play always very strong against the Minnesota Røkkr.
They have. This will be their 3rd series. We'll see if they can do it yet again, but we're just prepping to get into the search and destroy and see if we still see that rhythm from Huntsmen that we saw yesterday. Going to be going to Gunrunner, I believe, in just a moment. Just waiting to get that loaded up for you as we check out the player cams.
And this is an interesting one. Is that here these look at the map records. I mean, Minnesota, this probably, I imagine, is their weakest search. You have a 1-5 record on Gunrunner. For Chicago, 3-2. So we'll see how prepared Minnesota is, because they are 0-1 versus Chicago. Can they make some adjustments? Maybe they've really been in the lab trying to turn this map around. But 1-5, I was surprised to look at that record.
Let's see if they can improve as we get right into our map 2. Defense first for Huntsmen, as we'll see what the split is going to look like. Asim with the first blood, Asim with the first 2. He dominates inside of bathrooms, takes the 3rd with him, working on the ace. The 4th is in front, but Scump will shut him down. The trade there nearly instantly, and suddenly Arseny's buddy, you're all by yourself. 1 versus 4, narrowed down to a 1 versus 3. Tons of time to work with. Still manageable, but he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, you see how tough it is sometimes to fight for mid-map on the defensive side. As one smoke goes down, Asim's able to sneak through, takes down 3. Bomb being planted by Alex. Now this gets even tougher. Has a sniper in the back pocket. Can he find one and open up the round? He doesn't have dead silence as he's rocking a trophy. Alex, though, just bones under that shot. And here comes the rest of the team. Assault and Galarex putting M4 bullets right into him.
Yeah, every time he's tagged up and backed up, it's just milking time off the clock. There's not enough time to do anything. Finally, he will get shut down. Too many targets. As Asim really ended that round in the opening seconds. He gets 3 right around bathrooms and just dominates that mid-map. What kind of adjustment do you need to make of your Huntsman to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I mean, you really can't, right? Because that's what's so difficult about defense on this map. With the positioning of the B-bomb site, you kind of do have to fight for mid-map. So maybe you can delay it a little bit. We've seen that at times where, you know, teams will allow them to hit that B-bomb, maybe even get the plant down and play the 5 versus 5 retakes. But you can't be mad at it. They try to fight for mid-map control. That time just doesn't go their way.
Big one-on-one win there for Alex to get the first blood, but insta traded out. Bristini now in on the action as well. 4v3 advantage to Huntsmen, as they still have to work this bomb plant. Bristini trying to work all the way around the offside. I think it's Assault that has eyes on it.
He spotted it. Yeah, you see him rotating around, but Bristini's just keeping the pressure on him. He does get taken down, so now it's a 3 versus 3. Envoy, he's going to get caught by Assault with his M4 Scump, though. It's his turn. Comes in with the trade. That's a big one-on-one win by GodRx. I mean, you had the opportunity there in the 3 versus 4 just to plant at B. But Scump, he's able to win the gunfight, going for the 3rd of his round in this round. 1 versus GodRx. He knows his position because GodRx took down his duo and formal.
Scump had a big 1v2 clutch yesterday. The King looking to do it again. Dead silence is popped. He wants to work this plan. He's going to go for it.
Rice is about to have his up as well. So this is going to be tough. It's going to be a couple of timings. Scump's just going to play inside the crate.
Here he comes. The hip fire hits. Scump with another big 1v2 to tie the search up 1-1. The guy needs to go clutch in these big moments, and time again, Scump able to do it, and he bails them out, right? They had a 4v3. 2 players get picked. Huntsmen almost throw it away, but Scump goes huge.
Yeah, a 4v3 with a ton of map control. I mean, you had Formal all the way pushed up Spindle. They could have easily planted the bomb. And I thought with Pristini causing distraction at A, that was going to be the call. But then Envoy gets picked middle. It just seemed a little disorganized. But, hey, Scump goes big. Doesn't matter.
Rebounded after a tough map 1. Pristini says it's my mid-map
they go
this
right
time.
Back
it seems
to
going to
it.
get dropped. Yeah, they bring the thunder to them. And Pristini takes down 2. 1 player left in Godorex, and he gets
right
smoked. Yeah, that just flipped the script on that round 1, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. It's just a lot of different timings. In round 1, what happens? Asim gets through pipes and he makes them pay. This time there's nobody pipes. Envoy's able to jump in green. It's the first blood by Pristini, though, that really just opens up the lane for them.
Gets 1, and then a second to go with it. 2-1 advantage now for Huntsmen. As they get back to offense, we'll see if they can be a little bit more decisive around the objective this time around. Pristini's flying to the offside again. He is just going. Unfortunately for him, Silly is holding water, and that's an easy pick for him. 2 down now for Huntsman as Røkkr look to get it going.
And Røkkr sort of, they don't go as aggressive, but you see Asim's position where he was able to find a kill on RCs. They're not giving up this site for free. You have 2 players watching the cross in Godorex and Silly, so they have the A cross locked down. Envoy's going to pop out of smoke. That smoke allows him to find Asim, and it's just 2 shots to the head, and we'll see you later. He's going to push on through with Dead Silence to find his second. Alex is weak, but the help was there.
Now it's the other half of T2P with a chance to clutch up. This is a 1v3 with 40 seconds to go. No chance. He's going to get dropped. Røkkr get the round win, but that was lovely there from Envoy to kind of watch from his POV. Because he, you know, if you're a team, you know they have your top, right? There's somebody looking over you and got RX, but he smokes off the angle, gets 4, he gets the free pick, and even drops the second, but can't keep it going past that. Nice win there for Røkkr. They found the first blood, the first 2 kills, took dominance early in that round as well. Now switch sides.
Oh, well, will things slow down for a defense, or are these teams just going to keep going at it? Minnesota, we don't always see it, but they're going for an A push. You see the way they're set up. Alex with the MP5. If those shots at the beginning are a little bit cleaner, it's probably a kill on the Formal. He's trying to get through the smokes, but the defense is here. Scump's going to take down his teammate and got RX. Scump is getting flanked by a seam, but it felt like Chicago read that so well. Right from the beginning of the round, everybody was around the mid-tracks, and they're able to deal with it.
It was one hell of a read, and man, it was chaos. This map is nuts at times with all the smokes down and all the angles. But it's going to be a 2v1 for Huntsman. Alex looking to clutch up. Already has 2 in the round, I believe. 45 seconds to work with. Can he make the play? There's the first. Wins it. Knows who the second player is. Looking for the challenge. Spots it. Hits it. 1v2 for Alex. As he answers the big clutch from Scump earlier in this game. Alex, an absolute monster.
We were on board with him, right, when he was going through smokes and getting tagged up, right? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's actually
he stay alive.
Yeah, that sequence is what I was talking about when I said chaos. Like, just watching his POV, like that.
I just thought he was done
bananas.
when he. I mean, his teammates behind him went down. Somehow he stays alive when he was weak. He found the player on the B flank for the Huntsmen and then rotated back, but it's one clutch on one side, one on the other.
Yeah, he might have 4 in the round. I mean, he had a huge round, and this round he's dead early. Pristini's able to shut it down. Advantage now to Huntsman.
What was that? My God, what was that Empire? Wow. Okay.
The MP5 is rather strong, Joe.
Good shots.
It's special bullets, Joe. Special bullets.
Something like that. Wow.
Rosidi biding his time inside of a bush. Gonna have to back down for now, but the finesse is gonna pay off. Takes one down, can't get away though. His assault hits the edge, but it leads him right into the trap that Huntsman have laid down. Now it's all on Silly. Another 1v3 in this game. Formal picks him off the box, and that's going to be a round win for Chicago. It was a back and forth affair in the map 1. Same here in the search and destroy. All square at 3-3. We've had a big 1v clutch from Scump, a big 1v2 clutch for Alex as well. These guys are going blow for blow.
Yeah, that time you have the 3 versus 4 and you slow it down. You just get the bomb plan. Pristini just plays around the crates. They use their man advantage. They're able to close out the round a lot cleaner than what we saw in the first round.
Gonna be Scump inside of water that I think just got some information from multiple players through on the cross. Gonna try and nade through the vent. That's gonna force the seam to back up. Now even more information, but they can really bait and switch because they've got 2 players to work it. But look at the fast flank. There are 2 players from Huntsman soaring all the way through warehouse right now. They're about to hit this flank quickly. Did they get there in time to help their teammates? I don't know that they will. No. Everyone has died on the front line. The 2 players on the flank now are going to be isolated. And you can see the gig is up. They switched back to read it. It was a 2v4. There's still a chance to win this round, but you need to get there a couple seconds faster.
Yeah, and I don't know if like Silly inside of Pipes heard those players on the flank. He gave the call out to his team, but that's how you want to react. Envoy's trying to find a pick in this 1 versus 3 scenario. All the purple arrows going to back on up, make this as difficult as possible. But it's a great reaction from Minnesota Røkkr. They know the Huntsmen are weak on one side of the map, and they just take it to them.
Well, Envoy's found an opening for now. Did we get another clutch in this? Because I thought Alex was going to get smoked, but it's Assault's position at the top AC that will close the round. And yeah, I mean, if one of the Huntsman players on the front line gets a kill and stays alive for a couple seconds, that might work out. But I think you're right. There were some call out there that they're like, everyone hit it now. Yep. And they just took the numbers and went through. So somebody heard something, I would assume. Who's leading the way right now for either side? We get a chance. Oh, there we go. Let's take a look at the stats. 7 apiece for Alex and Assault.
Pretty similar.
7 apiece for Envoy and Pristini. And yes, that's why very similar, right?
Map pressure. Yeah, they go for it again. The smoke goes down, but Envoy's able to catch a seam.
You get the first blood, but quickly the numbers get flipped. Formal gets a hit with that grenade. That's got our X that's weakened up, softened up, but they can't get pushed behind it. He still gets, oh, well, there's the second grenade. Comes in, connects before God X is able to get back to full health. Formal can't quite slide away after the pick, but he's done enough to turn this into a 2 versus 2. Take a look at the minimap and where the bomb is wrapping. Heading all the way over towards A is going to be Envoy. For now, if you're RCs, yeah, you just got to stay alive as long as you can. Unfortunately, he's going to get dropped, but he kept them honest on that side of the map long enough for Envoy to get a free plant. So now the plant's going to be in. Can Envoy pull off the 1v2?
Yeah, I like the idea, but Minnesota, again, they read it well. They just run at him. So now this is tough. You just got to watch the bomb, and here comes the pressure. I think he hears these guys. No dead silence up for either player. I mean, we can hear them. They're going to check the window. Alex is going to get a bullet in, but he's able to win it. Silly just hops. He just hops it right away.
He's on it. You got to go. You got to go. He's going to get it. I think he's going to get it. There's the defuse. Silly hops it. The kill comes in a second later, but what a heads-up play from Silly. And that's another round win for Røkkr. Beautifully played.
I mean, Envoy doesn't know if Silly has dead silence or not, right? So Envoy, after getting the kill, pops his dead silence. He knows for the most part in 1 versus 2s, that player's going to come for the trade. He has all the information. But Silly, he just goes on the bomb. He doesn't have dead. He popped and able to get that defuse.
Now just one more round needed for Røkkr to close out this map 2 and tie up our series. Envoy is up to 11 kills, but Envoy's face just got melted off as Alex Hipfire.
He pegged someone in the face. He pegged someone in the face with a nade. He's like, oh, they're here.
Huntsman will have to rip off 3 straight rounds if they're going to take this. For now, Røkkr just trying to look for some kind of opening where they want to take this bomb. Now the build up towards A. RC's tagged up. GodRx takes some bullets as well. Numbers, though. Over to Røkkr. Asim able to survive and get this plant up. Pristini doesn't quite have the angle, and he's been naded out.
It's a good nade to keep Asim off the bomb and alive, but RC just pushes up water, able to find it. Now with 2 versus 3. As Formal is able to find the picks on GodRx. Formal with another one on Nasili. We've seen that duel so many times over near that spindle. Now it's all up to Assault. Has to stop the defuse, needs to win the first gunfight. That giant pole gets in the way. That giant pole takes him down. As Formal, he finds 4.
Yeah, what a massive round that was for Formal, because I think, well, that's, you get the, you were down as much, were they ever down 2 players? You were at least down a player. You definitely had a disadvantage.
Yeah, down a player.
Formal kind of goes nuts from Forest side, just picking them apart. Yeah, I thought when that nade backed up Pristini,
yeah.
I thought when he got backed up, I thought it was done. He kept the team alive, but then RC's and Formal just kill everyone.
Just take the 1 versus 1s with their M4s.
Yeah. Into round 10 we go. Alex now into double digits as well at 10 and 5. Will we see yet another round 11?
There's another flank push. This time it's from Minnesota. Scump's going to hear that door open. I like that play from Asim and Alex. The shots connect. Now up to 11. They have the man advantage, but bomb down for Chicago. And Pristini flies. He knows that the push was through the flank, and he's going to try to make the play through trains. Able to find one. His teammate does go down. But you have the defense here, and it's Formal again to win that duel. Pristini on the flank. Able to force a 2 versus 2.
A 2v2 to decide whether or not we get to a round 11. Silly takes the shots. Formal able to finish it, and there's the final kill for a Huntsman. They win 2 in a row. It gets us to a final round 11. Beautiful play there from Pristini. Formal is beaming. Formal and these last 2 rounds, man.
Formal,
yeah, just every one-on-one, man, just melting. But now throw out everything that's happened. Throw it right out the window. None of it matters in this round 11. It'll be Røkkr on offense. You got to think they're slightly favored on a map like Gunrunner. Such a tough map for the defense. But who will pull off this win?
And the pressure's through Spindle, right? You have Arcides prone. Formal, that nade's not going to connect with anyone. So he hits a tree. Those darn trees, I swear, they just keep spawning back up, right?
Yeah, it's pop-up new ones, right?
Yeah, it's just like Arden Forest. But I mean, you've had a slow defense. You have a slow offense. You do have Scump in the pipes. And well, there's Arcides at Spindle. What else can he find? Just trying to stay alive. Envoy has his help. The nade, will that connect on anyone? No, but it forces a 3 versus 5. In Minnesota, they are in a tough spot.
Huntsman had to rip off 3 rounds straight, and now they're just 3 kills away from doing it. 2 kills away from doing it. All lands on Alex. Alex in a 1 versus 4. It looks like Huntsman will get it done, but he's able to take down 1. Caught reloading in the back. There's players everywhere, and Alex will get dropped. Huntsman 3 straight rounds with the clutch. They clutch at the end of the hard point as well, and that is a 2-0 series lead. What a gutsy performance it was from Huntsman.
And it fell very early on into the game for Minnesota that all the timings were going their way, but their team play was on point. You look at those last 2 to 3 rounds, how many gunfights were there with no trades? And maybe it was just at the distance of those 1v1s. But yeah, Formal and Arcides, the last like 3 rounds just really took over. Envoy was stellar from the entire game as he's at 14 and 8, 14 kills overall. But yeah, man, there was just some individual plays that kept them in it, and they're able to force the round 11.
Joe, tell me a better duo than Røkkr in throwing S&D leads against Huntsman.
You and me?
Because they had the 5-0 lead that they threw away on St. Petro. They had the 5-3 lead here they throw away. It just seems no lead is safe when it comes to Røkkr over Huntsman in Search to Destroy. It's another come from behind victory. But let's take a look at the CDL points presented by Game Fuel. We're going to take a look at where everything stands. I believe this is updated with the points earned from yesterday. So 10 points earned basically per match for these guys. They look to get as many points for seeding as they can before the CDL championship, but it's starting to get real dicey in that mix, kind of in that 40 to 60 point range. It feels like the only team, like not out of it, but Guerrillas sitting back a bit, but everybody really starting to clump up in that mid-range. FaZe still sitting in the top spot, but we still got a lot of action this weekend, a lot of points to earn. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Call of Duty League is brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Stay connected to what matters most with the best value in wireless.
Time to claim your spot.
Chicago are one of those teams which I feel should and will always be going for number one. They are certainly a few steps behind number one and number two at this moment in time. And Gunless, for me, is a great individual. I don't think it's his skill or his talent or whatever it may be, but something's not working with these 5 players and this team. So they've got top 4, 3 events in a row. Good for some, okay for others, but it's not good enough for the Huntsmen. The losses have come to, the likes of Dallas, New York, Florida. It doesn't really matter who they're losing against. These guys are going for championships. And one thing that I will say as well is how important, of course, these spots are. We all know by the end of the CDL, finishing at the top is going to be crucial. And they're starting to fall behind. Changes needed to be made. And they were almost willing, we've all seen it in scrims, General was going to be stepping in. And a lot of people were kind of loving the new look and the new vibe. But when you have an opportunity to grab someone like Prestini, who has seen such success with the likes of Arstees, his twin brother, whether it's last year winning the playoffs, last year winning champs, this is a world champion in his own rights. That's something I think you've just got to grab. You've got to steal it. You've just got to go for it. I don't think it's too early. I don't think Huntsmen are a team that are okay sitting at 3rd and 4th and going out at semi-finals. For that reason, I think they did the right thing, acting as quick as they did, making this big roster move, and I think they'll see success from it.
And we are back for Huntsmen vs. Røkkr, but you just saw a snippet from Contesting the Point, a debate show that we do weekly. You can check that out on the CDL YouTube. Joe and myself, I think we have a little hiatus as we did like 4 of the first 5 episodes.
2 and 2.
Yeah, we'll be back on it soon enough, but we're going to get back to this best of 5, our first match for day 2 of the CDL Seattle Home Series event. And I do want to take a look at the U.S. Army tactical play as we get ready before the match 3 domination. And I know there was the crazy Alex 1v4, which I actually thought was 1v2, because I thought another Huntsman player dropped after he got the first 2, but that was that crazy sequence where he's going through the smoke, and it was absolute insanity. But we decided that the tactical play should be Scump's 1v2 because it was a huge moment, and while it's Huntsman, they get the game 2 victory, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, without this play, this game's probably over, right? And it was just a couple of individual plays for the Chicago Huntsmen that's why they won this map. And it's just difficult at times in this game with all the dead silence timings, knowing if your opponent has it or not. So what does Scump do? Well, he just plays a corner. You know, he knows that GodRx was in this area because he took down his teammate Informal earlier on. He plays the 50-50. He's able to win that gunfight. You favor the MP5 in that scenario, but it was a Scump clutch yesterday. It's a Scump clutch today, and well, that's the difference maker.
Yeah, they clutch in the game 1. They clutch in the game 2. They rip off 3 straight rounds to take a 2-0 edge in this series. Joe, if you have the stats in front of you, how do both teams look on Hackney Yard domination? Yeah,
so pretty similar. I think Hackney is one we've seen a lot from both of these teams. Minnesota 5-4, where you have Chicago 5-3. Head-to-head, though, it is 1-0 favoring Chicago, but still very similar stories.
So it might be a tight game on this map. We'll see if Røkkr can do anything to extend this series. I did not see them going out in 3-0 fashion, but we're 10 minutes away from that potential result. Starting on the strong side will be Røkkr. You got to think they need to be looking, you would hope, at what, about a 30-point advantage after this side if they're going to be in good shape for the switch.
Envoy's trying to sneak on through. He's already in a position. With him sneaking on through and some fights going down at B, Huntsmen have at least not allowed them to get B yet. But then one player spawns up C side. That's Assault. So there's a neutral at C. There's a neutral at B. The only flag capped right now is A for Røkkr. Both teams just fighting over mid-map control.
They'll get their home flag back. There's the 2-cap. Huntsmen have got them in the 2-cap. We'll see how long they can hold CB control. Let's go right into an Astro Gaming listen-in with Huntsmen.
Just flank it.
Yo, fire!
Green pillars, pillars, Alex.
One shot, 2 on B, 2 on B.
One super
weak.
Other guy's
Guys on green.
There's one there mid-stacks.
Our side.
Fork, absolute Alex. They spawned fork. 2 just spawned fork.
They're gonna be mid-L. They're gonna be mid-L. Look your mid-L. Look your mid-L, Matt. Look your mid-L, Matt.
3 dead.
Their door.
Mid door, one shot. Their door, one shot, Justin.
My AC.
I don't see mid AC.
That's 3 guys. Justin was their door. He was weak. That's him.
Their door.
To their door.
Their door.
Oh, wait.
He's
AC hop. AC. He's jumped down.
Try to play life, Dylan.
P3, guys. P3.
Absolute side check.
Could be a top L, Matt.
More right, two. Hey, time.
Nice.
One more point.
Get
mid-L.
Getting mid-L.
I have your bottom L pinch?
I have mid-L.
I'm bottom ground.
We're spawning pit.
P3. I got one.
Last guy bottom garage on him.
Last guy.
Got him still.
Nice.
I spawned green, guys.
Spawning pit, go through.
Oh shit, pit.
One more. I'm saying B.
Yeah, hop in, guys.
Got me, Shaq, guys.
Someone get my
Wait, I spawned closer to
Got 2 up. No, we can be.
Good. I spawned B.
Flood B, guys. Flood B. I have all green.
I'm trying.
I got Nate. Alex is in.
I'm gonna go.
Nice win,
One top L.
Nice win, baby.
Nice, good shit.
Green. We spawned fork. Yo, one's top green.
We're back into it, and Huntsmen have a narrow advantage right now, just up 4, but they do have A-side control. Can they get B control and lock them in for the final 2 minutes?
That was absolutely fantastic from the Huntsmen. I mean, they held on to C for 2 minutes, but they also just kept Minnesota off of B for so long. Like, they just haven't given them map control. Then they get into a position where they're able to cap A. What you're going to see now, Minnesota, they're going to push through. They're going to force the A spawn. So you're back into a BC hold for the Huntsmen, but you will take that. I mean, with 3 minutes off of this round, starting on the weaker side, great job by Chicago.
Now, what kind of lead can they hold on to during these final 90 seconds? Got RX working with his teammate in B to get that locked down. They've got trophy out, and there will be B secured as they're able to 2-hop that and get it locked down. They hold this for the final 90 seconds or so. That'll be a lead change. But still, you got to think at this point, yeah, you've done enough from this side. If you're Chicago, even if it's a 2-cap the rest of the way for Røkkr, you still feel pretty good about this. But we'll see how much of it Huntsman can disrupt over the final moments. And number 2 in a seam is pushing up all the way to smokestack. He's going to have multiple Huntsman members in front of him, and he's going to fall. Now the green arrows, the Mighty Duck flying V, goes soaring into B and look to at least get a neutral. Envoy with the read up top, able to take him down, but there's 2 more players at the back door. Scump's got the position to make the play. They haven't quite finished the capture, but there's the all clear. That should be a B cap. At the same time, though, they lost C for a moment. It just got neutraled. There's action everywhere, Joe.
Yeah, but they recognize as soon as they get on C, proceeding with some nice shots, you can fly to A. I love that from Chicago. They will give Minnesota C, no problem. They'll take A from them, and it's not a crazy lead, but it was a very solid half from the Huntsmen. It's what you wanted to see, and I loved hearing the comms. You know, everybody very clear, very concise, some pumping each other up. They sounded good in that first half.
Yeah, it's like it's not a big lead, but it almost feels like when you're spawning C-side, every second counts as 4.
Yeah.
It's like they have what it's going to be a 6-point lead, but it actually feels like it's a 24-point lead or something. It feels like it's much more than it is, just based on the side. So they'll take a 6-point lead into the half. Now, really, I guess the pressure on Røkkr to get a flip as early as they can. I mean, obviously, CB Control can do it. They're not down much, but I think it's likely going to take a flip.
Yeah, well, and maybe it's a play off the starting break. We've seen that from time to time.
Yeah, it feels it's such a risk reward, right? If you go for that flip and you don't get it and you end up 4 down, you might just get in the vice quickly, right? Like you're in that AB trap instantly.
Yeah, and the only other way we typically see the flip is a push through B, and maybe like with Chicago going for the C flag, and then all of Minnesota just trying to fly through towards A. As well, 3 go down, and you're right into that AB hold for the Huntsmen. Got RX waiting for his teammates to spawn on up. Had a nice stun on Envoy, but Envoy able to win the gunfight.
Yeah, I think he might have got some help from Formal at like top A, or got bailed out a little bit there, I think. But the 6-point lead already has grown to 10. Now it's the hard part for Røkkr. How do you get out of this? They've got 3 players, I think, top L, just looking for the opening. Pristini was trying to get an angle to shut them down, but it's actually Formal picks off 2. So suddenly it seems to be the last player there. He's doing his best job to just stay up until the reinforcements get here. Over to the other side of the map, and it's got RX outside of office. He's going to catch a stun, and he's going to catch some bullets as well. All tacticals being used from either side, as this is a lengthy 1v1 within this domination.
And I think it was what ours sees. He spawned up green side, and instead of trying to neutral C, he just flanks through bottom L. He tries to make the play. He doesn't want to give them an opportunity to take A from him. I like that. Now you have 4 dead. Whoa. You have so much map position as Envoy. He's spawned up like front yellow, and now you see the office spawns. Envoy recognizes the situation. He's going to smoke himself out, and this is where it gets scary.
And now you have 2 in a neutral. No points currently being earned for Røkkr.
Instead of backing up, what do? They try to fly ahead, and they get shut down.
Absolutely shut down. The lead just growing and growing as every tick goes through in favor of Huntsmen. Yeah, Formal at 20 and 11. This has been an excellent series for him. He's actually gone off every map, right? Yeah, he had a good search, good hard point, now a good dom. Because I'm sure Huntsman fans are very excited to see that, as he's taken some flack over the past month for his individual performances. Really stepping it up here against a very good Røkkr team.
And again, it's not like he's putting up insane numbers and leading the way in the kill category, but he's putting up solid games as the main AR, which is what we've seen from our top teams this year.
Well, and he's doing it against a good AR team, which I think is a big positive for him there. But now we're approaching that scoreline where it's going to border on impossible for Røkkr to bring this back. They were just never able to get the flip. They were never able to get a 2-cap control. They haven't been able to do anything since they got locked in early in this second half.
And that's why the first half from the Huntsmen was so impressive, because they just didn't allow that to happen. But here's an opportunity, maybe the last opportunity for the Røkkr. We're able to get B Alex is in a position where if they get some kills, they can jump on A. But Envoy, guess what? He recognizes it. He looks up top. Scump's helping him out. That's 3 dead. Now you just fight over neutrals. You just use the clock on your side, get neutrals around the map, make this such a pain for Minnesota.
I couldn't have been more wrong about this series. I thought,
yeah,
I don't know why, but I was thinking it was going to be an extended series, or if someone dominated, maybe Røkkr is kind of catch a improving Huntsman squad with a new lineup. But Huntsman come in here and
it very much could have. I mean,
well, it's a very close series, obviously.
Right, I mean, map 2 was, you have a 5-3 lead, couple of clutches. That is the map where, you know, we'd be going into a map 4, and then potentially, who knows, after that hard point.
Yeah. Well, every time they needed to make the big play, every time they needed to go clutch, it was Huntsman that did it. Just over a minute left, and this is going to be a 3-0. And as much as Formal has looked better, I think the biggest talking point, though, is Pristini. Like, Pristini has looked a lot more comfortable this series. Statistically, he has been far better, especially in that opening hard point to get things rolling. I think day by day, series by series, this team is going to become a more cohesive unit.
And I think even just looking at like the map set that they played yesterday, you know, Azir Cave can be tough for subs, right? We saw his teammate Scump do it in map number 1. It can be very difficult if you get stuck in a tough situation. That domination on Young Runner, that was, again, maybe you're trying to figure out new vetoes. Maybe now Hackney is their go-to domination map pick, but we'll see. This is just every single series. They're going to take something away from it. They're going to be learning from it, and that's what's important.
We'll watch the final seconds dwindle, but what a thing of perfection this second half was from Huntsmen. Just dominated from the opening moment, and Røkkr get rolled. It's a 3-0 victory for Huntsmen as they continue to improve. An impressive result. And I think that's something you're feeling very, very good about as you've got a berth in yet another semifinal.
And it's this for Minnesota, it just feels like they just can't get over that hump at times, can they? You know, versus some of these teams, it just feels like, I mean, what, Chicago's now owned this series 3-0. The last 2 matchups, both 3-0. So it's tough, man. But you see what happens. It just feels like at times the slaying power and talent isn't there. But
well,
you had a few opportunities.
Also seems like it's really a kind of a matchup thing as well, because they play FaZe a lot tougher than they do Huntsmen, right? At least they have so far historically. Like, they continue to push them to a game 5, and as you mentioned, this really could have gone the distance if it wasn't for a couple of moments, but those moments don't matter now. It's a 3-0 for Huntsmen. I loved what I saw. I mean, it seems like
much
they're
better
having
today.
Fun.
Much better today.
Yeah, no, see, I left the series yesterday, as I said, just not feeling really good or bad. Just not really having, I don't know, much thoughts on it almost. Just like, all right, they looked okay. Today they look good. They look good. That was an impressive win. And maybe yesterday, where I didn't feel myself convinced they could win this weekend, I now feel like they absolutely can.
Yeah. I mean, this was probably their biggest competition, maybe besides New York and OpTic Gaming LA here, right? And unless London continues to improve, we'll just have to see as they have a tough matchup versus New York. But one of the teams maybe we even expect to see in the final later on in Minnesota, and they handle that 3-0.
They handle it. They get a big victory. Some fantastic clutch moments, some improvements across the board. And yes, all the talk has been about Pristini, and I know we briefly talked about Formal, but I don't know what it is, but he has been better, because we talked about him more, I feel like, on hard points, just about, like, it's been a little bit odd because he has been one of the best ARs of all time. Statistically, just a lock for great stats. All of these guys have had, all these ARs have been rocking like what, a 1.15, 1.2, and he's been one of the ARs that hasn't, which has been a little bit odd. Maybe he's starting to get a little bit more comfortable and start to find his form, and maybe all that talk about Pristini alleviating pressure from Scump and Envoy, maybe it's going to help out Formal as well.
Yeah, I just think, again, I even look back to like the World War II like days where like your ARs, because he, you know, when he came into the scene, for the most part, he ran right into the jetpack era, right? Like, you just played at an insane pace for Now we're, you know, Boots, where when you're a main AR, for the most part, you do have to slow things down. It's very different.
Well, let's take a look now at the scuff play of the game from that last match as it gets closed out 3-0 from Huntsmen, but we'll take a look at some of the better plays from it, as this will be your scuff play of the game. There were a lot of moments, but I imagine this is going to be from the second half, as they just have them locked in, they have them bodied, they have the 2-cap in the neutral, and once they got that grip on them, they never looked back. They just blew this wide open, because it was, what, a 6-point advantage, I think I said, heading into the second half, and by the time it was all said and done, it was just a blowout, buddy.
Yeah, and I just go, I look at Twitter, and the first thing I see is RC's Preston is nasty. That's it. That's all he says. So he's fired up, man. And yeah, they get to a semifinal.
Well, after this, we're going to take a look at the updated bracket to see how things go. Now, this is just match 1 of 6 today. Still a ton of Call of Duty action to go, but Huntsmen have moved into a semifinal. Royal Ravens for Subliners, a chance to get there as well. And then we have a lot of those lower bracket matches within their group to see who's going to be coming out. But God, anything can happen today. I'm mostly curious who's going to get their picks right. I actually haven't looked to see your guys' picks yet on Hardpoint, see who you guys took.
I took Huntsman and OpTic, and then I took London and New York.
Okay, I think that's exactly what I took. Okay,
yep.
So I think we took the same thing there, but it was definitely one of the harder groups to choose from.
So.
And I pick OpTic to win, which doesn't look great anymore.
No.
You
never know, though.
A lot better.
I mean, how many times is like a Saturday team, like they've won both their games and gotten maybe even to a final? We've seen that happen.
That's true. Well, let's take a look at the PS4 damage dealt leaderboards, and I think I discussed this after the map 1, and this is what we're going to look at. It's Pristini leading the way. He was number 1 of all players. Definitely found a groove, especially when you put it in contrast compared to what he did in the map 4 of the last series yesterday, in which he was blended up quite nicely. This time, he gets it done. Granted, you know, it's not some staggering difference amongst the other players in that top 5, but still feels good to be number 1. And as RCD said, Preston is nasty.
Yeah, it feels good to be number 1. I'll take that. I mean, right behind him, Got Ice, who continues to be an absolute monster for the Røkkr. But yeah, we talked about Pristini, and the other guy we talked about was Formal. Just how impressive he was from map 1 to map number 3. He's coming in at number 3.
I got 2 different duos on this team with the T2P and the Twins, and everybody seemingly stepping it up. But that was an impressive win. I think we're both just thoroughly impressed by how they got that done and how efficiently they got that done in 3-0 fashion. But guys, that is going to take us to a quick break before our next match. But out of the break, we've got LVP with an interview. We'll be right back.